Woo! We see y'all. We see y'all out there. We see you guys. You guys are looking pretty good. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Could you be my? Would you be my? Won't you be my neighbor? Yep, they're probably too young to know anything about. Yeah, they probably don't even know who that is. They're like, who, Hubble, who that be? Who that be Mr. Rogers. If you know anything about Mr. Rogers, he was always about the neighborhood. Like Cheryl and I, we are all about the beauty neighborhood. So we are going to have a dynamic podcast this evening because we're talking about sheer madness or sheer genius. So last week we had a very interesting topic about, just some of the crazy, interesting things that's taking place in the beauty industry, things that makes your hair grow, that makes your hair fall out, all this kind of stuff. So last week, if you missed us, we talked about the lock method. That was the lotion, oil, and conditioner. And we learned a lot about that system. Now, we just want to say, we ain't telling y'all guys not to do it. We're just saying nothing new, nothing new, not saying nothing new. Okay, so that's where we're at. Also, before we get into it, I just want to say to Cheryl that the service for your dad was absolutely phenomenal. I learned so much about your father. I mean, all of the people who spoke, especially who was the gentleman that said your dad gave him the opportunity, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but he said to have a museum and he took it on tour or something like that.
That was
Who
Dr. Chuck Ambers.
Dr.
That,
Chuck, tell us about him. I think the world needs to know about him because
hmm
he was saying,
hmm
and I'm going to tell you why when you tell us about him.
This Dr. Chuck Ambers is literally, and of course, he would be best friends with Mr. Morrow, of course, because he
Oh,
is one of the most interesting men, um, because he is a historian and a educator and a teacher for many years in the San Diego School District here. But literally, Dr. Ambers has uh, the best, in my opinion, the best museum. He completely demolishes the Smithsonian, anything Smithsonian has ever done. He has the most wide, vast, depth, most polished, most informative museums in the world. And it's in San Diego in the historical uh, uh, neighborhood and community of Old Town, which is the Plymouth Rock of San Diego. San Diego is the Plymouth Rock of California.
okay.
So he has been friends with Dr. Asa Hilliard, Dr. Ben Clark, Dr. Joseph Ben
Wow.
Yakin. I mean, just he is it's phenomenal. And
I had
mm-hmm.
I had a feeling sorry for cutting you off because he said something, and Fatu, she was in the chat from the Gambia. That I don't know if you got a chance to see the YouTube, but the YouTube was on fire. I mean, the chat, we were just like, it was like we were there. I mean, that was the beauty. So thank you so much for
Yeah.
allowing those of us who couldn't be there to be a part of it because I mean, it was just like wow. So he said, and correct me, walk us through this, but I believe he was saying that your dad actually went to Senegal,
Mm-hmm.
and then they went over to Jafar. I think it
Gore.
was girl. Okay, and then
Dakar.
they,
We landed in Dakar, West Senegal, West Africa.
but
Then
the
we went to the island of Gore, and he donated the 400 years without a comb so the Africans there could understand what happened to us over here. But when we went the opposite way. We want that, you land in in the dock, the mayor of Gore and everybody meets us. But Dr. Morrow wanted to go back through the door of no return, as if we
Mm.
were coming, home.
Ah.
And it was real, And let me just say this: if anyone, uh, Black Americans here in North America, were to go back and especially go through that door, I mean, you never stop crying. It's the weirdest thing, because when we went, Mr. Morrow landed on the tarmac and there was about 500 beauty students and they were just chanting his name. And it
Mm.
was just the most unbelievable. But Chuck Ambers was there as
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, when I come back, I would love to meet him.
Hmm.
I hope we're still doing this when it's time for me to come back and we can, interview him in person because he really touched my heart. The other thing he said, and I'm saying this, to you guys who's watching. I know the pandemic is not over, and people aren't. Some of you guys, really don't want to travel internationally, but whenever it hits your heart and your pocketbook because it ain't cheap to go over there, please go back home to Africa. Because he also mentioned that you guys went over to Janjambure, which is where Alex Haley did, Roots. And
Hmm.
so I had the opportunity to go there too. And I don't know that I ever told you that. So I kind of felt like, wow, that your dad's and I, missions kind of, crossed
Yes.
paths,
Yes.
and Fatu caught that really quick. And I will say this, that when I was over there, their pick making, I will bring it back next week, but their combs and the way they make their
Hmm.
picks, it's like I felt like the whole world should buy their combs and picks from the island of Chanchanburi. So I thought that was just very, very, touching and just telling to the magnitude and the depths of, what we meant to your father, and speaker after speaker after speaker after speaker. Two things that jumped out: number one was his love for God, and then number two, Black excellence is normal. So I
Yes.
want to make sure that I put that in that documentary because that was something that just kept looping through.
Hmm.
um, and so July 15th, is it official? Is that
Yeah.
Dr. Willie? Did
Yeah.
you know that? Did you know that was?
Not until that day. Not until last Friday.
Ah, so
Yeah.
how does it feel to have?
And let me just say this. The council person. Um, the council person who read that the declaration and proclamation. She and Dr. Morrow had a special relationship, because she had, told him it was just in that whole incubator of Mr. Morrow where she ran for the seat, and Dad kind of basically said, F everybody else. You do what you got to do,
Yeah.
and that was her gift to him.
Oh man, so I don't know. I'm gonna ask for your permission right here, everybody. This how you put this how you guys put the press on somebody when you really want them to do something for you. You just do it live, and then that way they can't resist to tell you no in front of everybody. So I'm gonna put the press on Cheryl that in Cleveland, Ohio, we're gonna make July 15th the Willie Morrow Day too here in the beauty industry. So if I'm not there with you in San Diego, we're not doing something, I will be doing something here with your permission
Absolutely.
to borrow that day here in Cleveland and do my best to make sure every cosmetology school, every barber, every beauty salon, every
Wow.
barber salon, that we all recognize Dr. Willie Morrow on July 15th here in Cleveland, Ohio, and perhaps it'll start to pick up because that service was just absolutely wonderful. And then the last person I want to talk about, which I think would be a wonderful segue into our topic today.
Well,
Um,
and before you get started, you
mhm.
guys, did you guys catch the reading of Dr. Halsey's proclamation?
No, we didn't see
They read
that.
they read it out
Oh,
loud because that they said
okay.
that because Sister Cooper said she said that
Okay.
was she said she found that proclamation so more interesting than the others, and she read all
Yes.
of it. Yeah.
Yes, yes. We want to bring on Dr. Hosty so she can talk about your father. She talks to me about him in little pieces, but I know
Mhm.
she has some more
Okay.
that dynamism that your father, got into, including me. I didn't even get, a chance to get all into it like they did. But here's the one that just blew me out the water, okay? And for those of you who have just joined us, welcome, Sophia the First. Welcome back. Welcome. Everybody's ready. They're ready for the topic. We're gonna get into it. But here's the segue into it. And so
Mhm.
we're talking about her father, Dr. Willie Morrow's, his beautiful life celebration that took place on Friday. Is it still available online? Can people see it?
Yeah.
Or
They can.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so so I will put that link in the chat, post the live. Okay, so welcome everybody, welcome Facebook, welcome LinkedIn. We see you guys are coming through, so we thank you so much for joining us this evening. So the other thing that really it just blew the whole salon was like this when the young lady, please give us her name, who invented the sister locks.
And that was
What's her?
Joanne. That's Dr. Joanne Cornwell.
Dr. Joanne Cornwell.
Yes, Dr. Joanne.
So, Dr. Joanne Cornwell, even though she was brief, she was very powerful. But when she said that she called your dad up and was like, I just can't get this to work. I just, this is just not working. And your father told her to put those hair in those knots. And she patented and she created and she owned that process. Boy, I'm telling you, wasn't a dry eye in the salon. It was just like, who knew, that he was like Earthwind. He was like the guy from, you remember that group called the Floaters? And he was like, my name is Lur, and I love everything and everybody. I mean, he loved everybody in the beauty industry. And so the segue into this is that sh- Dr. Is it Cromwell?
Cornwell.
Cornwell.
Doc-
So Dr.
Dr. Joanne Cornwell was a professor at San Diego State and had this big idea. She didn't know any other crazy nut job to even run it past. So
So,
she did. And Dr. Morrow had already worked it out. And then he said, come in here, let's do it, work it out, work it out, work it out. And she got scared that came back, hung in there. And
she hung.
between him and Joanne Cornwell, uh, created Sister Locks. And then in between both of him, Pamela Farrell and Sheila Hale, they went ahead and worked out a natural hair and braiding and lock legislation. But it was from Mr. Morrow just being able to say, because he had already done that for state boards, and he's already went through that, and so that's just how he knew Dr. Joanne Cornwell, Sheila Hale, and Pamela Farrell.
So here's the thing, guys. We're about to jump into the topic about Monistat, making your hair grow and all this. I just want to point out one thing about
I put in the
Dr.
chat. I put in the chat the two links to the services so you guys can see them
Okay.
too.
All right. Thank you so much. Please watch. If you are a licensed professional, anybody, you work with plants and flowers and people, nature, people, and God. That's Dr. Willie Morrow. He loved all three. So if you're watching this right now, please go and watch his life celebration. You will be inspired. So here we have Dr. Cornwell, who is the inventor of the sister locks, which everybody loved. This took the nation by storm. And people thought she was absolutely crazy. Well, who would patent a hairstyle? Who would make it where you cannot just go on YouTube and steal her stuff? But here's what I want to point out as we go into this topic. She went to a professional. She did not turn to this platform where we are at to learn how to get her bona fides, if you will, to get that patent. She went to the professional who she felt could assist her the most. And so, as we go into this topic, what Cheryl and I, we're making fun of all of this because it makes for a wonderful conversation.
Mhm.
But we implore every single licensed professional or any professional who's working with the public, please, 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 please go get some education. And if you must, reach out to people like Cheryl Morrow. That's what I did. I wanted to get more, learn more, and I got more than what I bargained for. And she pointed some things out that hurt my little feelings. But you know what? We have to learn. And
Yes.
so, as we go into this topic about this, and everybody's ready. About Monistat. So what I'm gonna do is set them up because some people are like Monistat, yeah, coochie cream. That's what it's called, coochie cream. So if you don't know anything about Monistat is this antifungal cream that doctors you used to can only get it by prescription, but now it's available over the counter and it's only used for yeast infections that's in the vaginal area. And
Hmm.
so I don't know the workings of it, but this is where Cheryl's Lane come in. Remember, I am the official shit starter. So I'm going to be the one to just get it all out there, how I see it on YouTube. It has come into the hair salon. If you are a licensed cosmetologist, drop in the chat if you or you could be on Facebook, you could be on LinkedIn or right here on YouTube, if you have come across this phenomenon of your customers or family member talking about putting Monistat onto their scalp for the sole purpose of growing your hair. That's one. And
Hmm.
then two, the concoction, Cheryl, is that you mix this with water and then you apply this to your scalp. So this is the concoction. Now they have so many concoctions. We don't want to promote this because Cheryl's going to talk about, the pros and it might be some pros to it. I don't know, Cheryl. You're going to help us out with this, but people want long hair. So before we get into the monostat, what's up with Black folk and their obsession with getting long hair? Because that's what this is all about.
Well, it must be connected to eras because there was a time when we wanted the hair to be, what we call a mane. Mane is not necessarily hair going towards our shoulder and our back, then our waist, and then ultimately toward a uh, downward direction. But I think that you know it turned after the 70s because every hairstyle was coiffed and it went up and it went out and it was round. The obsession with long, and then of course anonymizing long with lots of hair because there's a lot of people with long hair but it's thin. So we don't, you know, you don't necessarily. What do you really want? Do you want a lot of it? Do you want it long? Do you want because it can be thin and long, but people don't necessarily want thin long hair. They actually want a mane. They want a lot of hair, and they want it to eventually. And unfortunately, when you have Afro curly hair, it doesn't get long until it gets heavy. And so when things grow in a sphere, things grow in a round shape or like a chia, it grows out wide, and then the weight carries it on the shoulders. I don't know how if it's racism. It could be a psychological defect, you know, connected to racism, and because the marketplace is now valuing a certain look, and then psychologically we attach success with hair or an image and beauty looking like that. So it's a psychological head trip. It's not necessarily, I think, a desire that is
Okay.
innate,
All right.
but
Okay.
it is trying to connect that look with getting paid, success, being available, having value, being able to compete in the marketplace. of, whatever the case may be. It's connected to jobs and promotions, and
That's
it
true.
has so many other facets to it, but neither of those have anything to do with your ability to grow hair.
Oh,
And
okay.
so, you know, um, and two, length is also connected to another word that is part of some of our phobia, and that is aging. So,
Oh,
aging is a problem in Western world because aging people are not treated well. You have lack of competition at that point.
right.
You're
Yeah.
retiring. You're out of the game. You're not vibrant. You're not valued. And so this obsession has some deeper levels to it. So that's what length is about. It has nothing to do. It has everything. Length is position.
Oh,
Length is
okay.
position.
All
Length
right.
is, having something to offer, and I'm, still in the game, and I'm gorgeous. It's so political,
Yeah.
socio-political,
Yeah,
psychological.
I believe that. My
Yeah.
mentor, Ivan Williams, a super duper shout outs in the chat. What's up, Eb Naylor, my mentor? She's the young lady that's going to be going with me next week. We start
Mm-hmm.
our tour of the hair salon. So what's up, Kanita? I see you just dropped in. That's my cutie pie, the official AKA beauty queen. She's got it going on. Also, Kareem Hafiz, the root doctor. We got ATL and the Easy representing baby. What's up, Racine? I see you. Rashida, my BFF, is always down. The YouTube is always lit. So we got Miss Howard, we got Nadia, we have Sophia the first. So what's up, guys? We appreciate you all so much for joining us. Don't forget, we do have some giveaways. That's right, these t-shirts. We got a lot of these t-shirts. These are made by the cosmetology teacher extraordinaire, and that is Miss Dr. I'm sorry, Denise West. So we have these are some good t-shirts, by the way. These ain't no cheap ones now. Me and Cheryl don't be, giving y'all no cheap stuff, okay? So you can put a business suit on with this and just rock your help change the narrative. So we're gonna give one of these babies away. So my mentor said that the reason that the hair went from out to something what I'm looking like was because of Superfly. So he felt that Superfly really changed the dynamics of beauty because the night before Superfly came out, he said everybody was rocking dashikis and they had their pics and they was just all peace, my brother. And then when Superfly came out, it was Coke spoons and waves and pork chop sideburns. How does media influence how we look? Because we're going to talk about this with social media. So how do these movies and all of that, or I don't know if you agree with that, but
Mm-hmm. Um, you know, it, Superfly was very actually brought back the relaxer to men. Women had already been doing that, and so it was the relaxer for men, and it was the return of the facial hair. Um, when you look at it, it's a very elegant um, uh, West set. Men started coming in the, wearing rollers, and and so it was a very flamboyant,
it was.
heterosexual, very flamboyant look for men, and it was vogue for men to go to the hair salon at that point. And if you really realize, is that that's the turn of when James Brown started pressing and curling.
But
His
wait,
after
they wasn't considered gay either. Now that you say this,
It's a
and you
very
guys,
hyper sexual, hyper, heterosexual, feminine, elegant era for black men. They could wear colors now. They were wearing suits and pinks and oranges and
don't
very,
forget this one, Cheryl. What about this one? The men used to put the scarves on. Remember
oh
that?
yeah, they were very. The '70s was a very elegant era. I mean, just remember, because you have to remember, James Brown started doing the concholine was the '50s for black men. Then they had this whole era to where they just started cutting it. Then that's the look of the um, civil rights and preachers very low. Then you had the Muslims um, with the very cropped, and then he came out with the Afro, boom, Black Panther movement, very hyper masculine Afro look. And then after, the era that your brother mentioned, it's a very they started actually relaxing and doing wet sets and perms and just like, and then that's when James Brown goes back to the press and curl. And then you have Al Sharpton when and it's just that real superfly slick hair. But women were already still doing that. And let me just be clear, that, can't mix trend with um, cultural choice. So because trend, even though the trend is almost like in the outer layer of what the whole generous populace is doing, but black men had something going on a little different. Their hair was big and rolled. Their hair, then they had the handkerchiefs, and then they were wearing Western cowboy hats, and I mean, they was getting real sexy and sensual, and they was really in touch with a little bit of their feminine side, saying, hey, I'm getting my nails done. That was really the era where they were really taking care of themselves and really just exploring all types of heterosexual male masculinity that wanted to be pretty. It was okay to say a man is pretty in that.
You could, yeah.
Because, I mean, at the end of the day, James Brown is known for that particular relaxed look, but it was actually Barry White.
Wow. Oh. See, here's the thing, I'm thinking about it. If you guys don't know who some of these people are, you have to go and do some images to see, what we're talking about. But I was definitely growing up in that era. And I did not know that James Brown had a press and curl. As I sit here, I'm like, what? So I never knew that. I thought that, he had a perm or whatever. But
well, that was the first era. Then then it was press and curl in the 70s.
Oh, okay.
It was the Concoline. It was the Concoline. It was Count Basie. It was Nat King Cole. It was Duke Ellington. James Brown.
That wasn't Nat King Cole's hair?
No, it was Concoline.
Oh, boy, that was some. Boy, that was. I don't know. Are anybody else surprised? I really thought that was his hair. I'm just blown back. So here we are. Welcome, guys. The chat is still getting pretty full. Welcome. We are about to jump into the topic of Monistat making the hair grow. So we're talking about at this point, how media, movies influence the way we look, and so on and so forth. So now we've got people wanting hair coming down to here, and we also have a group of people that want hair coming out to there, but they want this Monistat to make the hair grow. Sophia the first says, we in desperate times right now. I mean, she said, damn. I hear you, Sophia. I hear you. Miss Howard, she's looking forward to some great information. So get ready, Miss Howard. Nadia said, come on, bring it. So let's just tell the truth. Right now, they've been waiting. We done built them all up. We done built the chat up. So just tell the truth, Cheryl. What is Monistat? What is with the yeast? And what is the Monistat doing? Is it really making the hair grow? So that's three. What is Monistat? What about the yeast? That's what they're saying. If you mix this with some water, I did. That's the solution, that you're going to put 1% of this Monistat into 4 ounces of water, and then it doesn't say how to apply it to the scalp, but this is going to clear the yeast off the scalp and make your hair grow. So Nadia say, I'm ready. Does it make the hair grow?
The better question, however, well, let me start by saying this. We must understand, if you are going to put a diluted version of Monistat, right, in a solution of water, which already has water in it, I think. I don't know the ingredients list. It has to have some water in it. Yeah. But then, does minoxidil work, or Rogaine? Because those two are steroids.
Right.
Right?
They say those are clinically proven to make hair grow.
Okay. Right. But we'll get into those later as in compared to Monistat. But
Okay.
Monistat is not made. The formula is not made. There is no ingredient in Monistat that I am aware of that travels through the dermis. There's only one topical that I know that is supposed to speak to neurons and receptors, and those are cigarette patches.
Oh.
There is no topical that is going to travel in your skin through the epidermis, through the corneum, stratum, corneum, go through all of those layers, end up in the bulb area of the medulla. And
So we can't take corneum stratus layer, hook a left on on Main Street,
and
and
then
it's going to get
and
in.
then the luciderm, and then the stratum. It's just no. All of those stratums are made to keep things out.
Oh.
See, one of the things that is so remarkable about the way we talk about hair follicles and things, if something clogs, is it clogging from the inside out or is it clogging from the outside in? Because something has to clog, and usually something is clogging because you put something in and it's building up from the top, and then it's clogged, and then you can put some Drano and then it goes and flushes on through. But if you think about it, there is no you can't get the and let me just be clear. Monistat is not a steroid, people. It's not a steroid. It is
Right.
it is full of emulsions, preservatives, okay?
Well, let me tell you. Let me hold up. So Nadia, thank you so much. We got our own official secretary. She says Monistat is made of myconazole nitrate 2%.
Mhm.
The inactive ingredient is BHA
Mhm.
benzoic acid,
Mhm.
mineral oil, something I can't pronounce, pegalet
Mhm.
something, and
It's
then
those
this guy
emulsions.
Pegas Oxal
Mhm.
7, some type of
Mhm.
steer aerate. I don't know. And then, like you said,
Mhm.
it has water. So you are, in
Mhm.
fact, see, Cheryl is, y'all see why I call her ass unapologetically brilliant? Because, I keep telling y'all, this woman is just, oh my God, thank you so much, Cheryl.
You're
So
welcome.
break this down. So, because they're saying that this active ingredient is supposed to kill the yeast that's going to make the hair grow. That's what they're saying.
Right. And let me just say this: most people who wear hair weaves and braids and locks that will harness a little bit of heat and a lot of water, sweat, that will be fungus. The problem is that it's not yeast fungus. It's not a yeast fungus.
Oh, okay.
It's a fungus, and the way you kill fungus is with pH. You don't kill
What?
it by rinsing it away. You neutralize the pH of fungus. That's how you neutralize fungus. You don't take it
Wow.
off. You can neutralize it and kill it by pH. That's
Wow.
why when COVID first started, you kill COVID-19, right?
Right.
Virus with what?
Soap and water.
Because soap has a what pH?
I
It's an
is it
alkaline. It's
seven?
an
Yeah, I was.
alkaline.
It's
That's why they
alkaline.
say alkaline body cannot hold acidosis. Acidosis is for inflammation. It is yeast, it is fungus, it is bacteria, it is parasites. That's what lives in an acidic environment. So that is why your nitrates are there to neutralize the yeast acids that causes the itching and burning and things of that nature. Uh,
Wow.
now, the then and
So,
see,
so when you hear, so when
look,
people are, so I'm sorry for cutting you off. So when people are saying like, like the weaves and stuff, and their hair, the itching. So you're saying that this is the pH that's off that's making this yeast like grow, and so the result is the itching. Is that what you're
Right.
saying?
Because pH
Wow.
makes pH temperature. It makes things what contract or expand. That's that
Oh.
expanding and contracting. That's that nerve and circulation feeling. It makes you itch, and until you balance it, it makes you itch. So they're contracting, expanding, and it makes it itch. Um, so you
Wow.
get the nitrate is only a preservative. So it's killing the yeast, the fungus. Now, um, I heard her say benzoate, BHA,
Yeah, she said, yeah, benzoic
alpha,
acid. Thank you. Nadia, you get the t-shirt. The
but I
t-shirt's
wanted to
yours.
repeat. Right, I
Yeah, so
wanted
she
to
says
repeat.
benzoic acid is what she
Okay.
says.
Now, if you take the word ben, just the 3 letters ben, right? That's the that's the it's a prefix called benzoid. That's a natural alpha hydroxy that I think comes from vegetable oil, fruits. It's a natural,
Okay.
right?
I'm saying
And,
right, but
and she can
I want you
check
guys
me. She can check me. But my
to
point is,
check that, Nadia. Check that for us.
but I'm bringing you guys back to a point. If it's connected to vegetable oil and fruit acids, I just told you last time. When ben is at the first part of the word, um, it is a preservative, right? But you guys know it when the ben is on the opposite end of the word, and it's called para.
Ben.
Right.
Oh.
And so, but we wouldn't if I told you that, then you guys would get all freaked out, and then you wouldn't use Monistat.
You're right. You know what? You know what, Cheryl? You ain't right. I'm about to push you out the way. Did you guys catch that? That was like a homophobe or something. You know how Jay-Z said, I'm a businessman, I'm a businessman. And she went from benzoid to paraben, man. See, I keep telling y'all think Cheryl be out here tripping. What's up? What's up? Andrea, everybody's laughing. They caught that. They caught that. They caught
Yeah.
that. So yeah,
And
I
so
digress.
benzoid or so BHA or benzoic acid is just a salicylic acid. It's a fruit acid. It's supposed to clean off your surface. It's a surfactant. And it's supposed to clean off what's on the surface, neutralize and preserve, kill the yeast. Then you have the emulsions, and then you have the water, which makes a lotion cream.
Right, right,
Right,
right.
right. But we don't have yeast on our heads, though.
We
That's
don't
it's
have
not
who?
all fungus is not the same.
Uh-oh. So hold on, Cheryl. Now, this is what they're saying. I did write this down. Now, this is according to Dr. Brian D.O., comma, D.O. I don't know what those stands for.
Mm-hmm.
But so this is according to Dr. Brian D.O. D.O. And so he's saying that what's this ingredient she put up here? I know I'm not saying it right. Meconazole,
Yeah,
nitrate.
right.
Okay, so he's saying that this when it kills the yeast on the scalp,
Mm-hmm.
that it makes the hair grow. So he's saying that it's killing the yeast and then the hair begins to grow.
Right. Well, if that's true, then what is on the outside does not make the bulb create cell hair growth. Hair growth comes from a cell production. That's why when the cell production shuts down, you lose hair. You don't lose hair. What's going on outside the follicle?
Hmm.
That's not why you're losing hair. You feel discomfort on what's going on. You know what I mean? The hair breaks compared to what's going on. The hair sheds and has, evacuation problems or hair loss or slow growth. That just depends on what's going on inside of the hair, in the hair.
Mm.
Two don't have nothing to do. If your hair is not breaking because there's something wrong with the hair bulb, it's something wrong with the diameter of the cuticle layer.
Wow.
When your hair is when it has slow growth, now even slow growth is an oxymoron because we don't know what that means. You can't
Mm-hmm.
you can't identify unless you're cosmetically had interrupted and then your hair is breaking with a bleach job or your relaxer job or some kind of other situation, cosmetic. Now that can slow it in terms of if you're aching growth with length, and then you say you ain't reaching length. Well, that ain't got nothing to do with what's going on in the follicle. That is your cosmetic problem. That's a cosmetic issue. But
Right.
for us to understand Afro curly hair in terms of trichology and what is making it grow and understanding cell production, right? You didn't do
Right.
anything to the hair on the outside, but chemotherapy, you know, deals with what's going on in the follicle. So you're not
Correct.
losing hair on what's going on the outside. So we got to figure out, why are we losing hair? Is it a cosmetic reason or is it a systemic reason? And
Right.
Monistat is not able as a topical to affect a systemic reason while the hair is not
Hmm.
growing or slow growth or no growth, while the bulb is not producing the cell production that it needs so it can satisfy your your sexuality
So,
with hair length.
so what are people experiencing? So, hold on. So we got a question in the chat. Before I'm gonna get to your question in 1 second. So, what are people experiencing when you hear these testimonies that they did put this monostat and they swear it made their hair grow? So, what phenomenon is it? Because they're cleaning the hair, and why would their hair be growing, or is this just, as Miss
Well,
Howard said?
I'm even questioning why they even would try Monistat in the first place. They're lying. That makes no sense. How would they just have telepathy to use vaginal cream? Like, where would that
It's
idea
on
come
YouTube. You can Google this. Let me tell you,
from?
this
No,
is
no,
a
no.
true story.
I believe it. I believe it. But what would get the premonition to even use it? And who started? See, it's always a start with that, because we already know that is scientific, not logical. Because if that were true, then we would just use Monistat. We would not need a minoxidil, which is a steroid. We would not use Rogaine, a steroid. Steroids make things grow. May not be the hair, maybe a stubble, maybe a different type of hair that may not be stylable and that you prefer to grow on your head. But you know, let me
Yeah,
ask you a question. I think a
sure.
really great question would be, you go to, you know, a endocrinologist or a gynecologist or a dermatologist and say, hey, I don't want minoxidil. I don't want Rogaine. I don't want any steroidic topical cream. I'm just going to go to CVS, Rite Aid, and Walmart, and I'm going to get coochie cream. Thank you. Peace out. I mean,
Yeah, so Andrea and I, we are your official secretaries of Afro Cosmetology. She calls me after every live, and we have our bags packed, don't we, Andrea? And Ebony too. There are three of us: Ebony Naylor, Andrea Catlin. We are your official staff of Afro Cosmetology when you're ready for the education. But she's all in the chat with the prayers and the praise God. Exactly, exactly. Ebony would like to know, does what you're speaking to, of why they're trying to use this, are they kind of going with the phases, the adagen, catagen, telogen? Are they trying to apply this monostat rationale to the growth phases that we are taught in cosmetology school? Good question, Ebony. Good question.
If it were to be in, if the monostat, and see, let me just say this: the last three ingredients are so molecularly big, it can't fit through the follicle mouth. It's too big. It's a lotion. Doesn't have any way to get to the subcutaneous level where the hair bulb is. And then it has no way to pass a horny, hard keratin cuticle to get down in it. It just doesn't, there's nothing in the formula that is so corrosive that will eat through something, get to the bulb, make the cell tissue, cellular cells produce again, and tell them to get out of that rest phase because that she wants some hair. You know, it just doesn't have any way of getting there to make those things happen. That's why we have steroids. That's why minoxidil and Neurogain exist, even though they're bad drugs. I'll be honest. They don't grow smooth, gorgeous hair of your youth. It grows stubble. It grows a different kind of hair. So, you know, it just, you know, and I understand why we want to make things grow. I understand that, but that's why I just, after having a couple of last conversations with Mr. Morrow, you know, we are determined to be able to have a better dialogue with professionals so we can have better scholarly language, explain things better to our consumer populations, and then so they can get on a set of truths that is just scientifically logical so they can actually accomplish what they need to accomplish in the realm of logic and cosmetic ability. And reconnect with STEM and STEAM and technology so we can start making things that they actually want to do things with and things that make sense, and not doing things in the drug and in the liquor section.
Right. In the liquor section. Right.
Right.
So when it comes down to things that does make your hair grow, and Ebony, I'm so glad that kind of made me think of another question when we're talking about those phases of growth. Is there something that can is there a way that people, because people ask this all the time, number one, and I know this is like a loaded question, but number one, can you make my hair grow faster? Number one. And then number two, my hair grows faster, like in the summer, or like there are times people believe that their hair grows faster. So is there a way that people can make their hair grow faster?
Mm-hmm. Well, let's start with a better question. What would make you think that your hair is not growing?
So here's what they say, because it's been the same. I'm gonna answer for everybody in the chat. I got y'all. Because Cheryl, it's been the same length for the past 10 years. So I know it's not growing because it's been. And when I was 18, it used to be like, when I was a kid, it was down to here, and now it's been stuck. So that's why I think my hair ain't growing, because it's been the same length.
So, okay. Now, but the problem is now that I had this conversation. Okay. So let's just say, so let me ask you a question. Have you ever had a person with locks say that?
No.
You've never, black folks, have you
No.
ever experienced a black woman who got some braids and never needed to redo them?
Nope.
Okay.
No.
So the hair is growing, black folks. Okay.
The hair is growing.
Okay. Now so what population hair is not growing?
People with hair like mine, like people will say that, like my hair has been chin length. So if their hair is like straightened out, even some people will say like they put braids in their hair and the braids made their hair come out. That so that's the magic sauce that people are
So,
looking for.
but the knot of the braid is no longer on their scalp.
Exactly.
So the hair is growing, black folks. Okay.
The hair is growing.
All right. If you have to get a touch up. The hair is growing, black folks. Okay. Now, what you're saying is I can't keep what I grow. That's what you're saying. So we got to fix what we're doing with the hair that's down here, and it's breaking up. It's not. You can't blame it on the follicle because the follicle's doing its job. Now, what you're doing with your surplus is the problem.
Mm.
So either it's breaking up, that hair has been on your head, so we're going to have to do some different techniques because most people always say to me, Cheryl, why don't you ever wear your hair down? Because I always tell them, long hair is old hair.
Boo! Can you come on? Say it, cause they come
But you
on,
can't
Cheryl.
do a
Talk
lot.
about
You can't do a lot with it. If you got to wear it every once in a moment, you cannot mess with it. It's old. It's been on your head for a long time. An older hair frays at the end. A flag frays at the end. It don't fray close to the seam, which is your root. So the root's working. So don't be blaming the root. It ain't the
don't be
root
right,
problem.
right,
Because
right, right.
every time you see a person locks, I got to get my locks tightened up. They're not getting the locks tightened up because they just want to waste some money. They're getting the lock because they have some new growth.
Mm-hmm. But
Okay,
so that's when people will say they feel like that those hairstyles are better
they're
because they
not
see.
better. It just allows you to monitor it because you have such a grass difference that you have something to metric. It gives you an optical illusion. You don't have an optical illusion with the way you're wearing the hair, so it doesn't look like it's doing anything. It's almost like saying, I don't feel the earth going around the sun. Don't mean it's not doing it. You just don't have a obvious metric system for it to look like that. Braids and locks have a knot, so you can physically see it. So therefore you say, oh, I saw the plant growing. It's growing. Well, you don't have to see a plant growing to think that it's not growing or for it's growing. You just don't have an obvious contrast the way Ladosha is wearing hers. You don't have a contrast because all of it
Yeah.
is straight. And then two, it is, color treated and has some other things. So it's delicate. You cannot be moving that hair a lot. And if you
Now,
want it to be down
right.
your shoulder and your forearm, it's
Did
just
you guys hear that? I'm about to just use your little statement because people will come in and they're like, I want these spiral curls. I want some tight curls. I want the hairstyle that's gonna last. I did a workshop, Matters of the Heart, big ups to Dress for Success and Hands of the Heart and Numa Life. We had a wonderful event, and so in the event, everybody was looking for a hairstyle that they did not have to do, something that was going to quote unquote make the hair grow, but they wanted these curls. And I tell everybody all the time, if you long hair is old hair because the ends are very fragile. And naturally, you lose lipids and all this stuff that you got to have education to know what Cheryl and I are talking about. And so you cannot you rarely even see curls in my hair. And I'll cut my hair and chop it. I've cut this off and it just grows back down. But you have to protect those ends because the longer hair is older hair. Ms. Howard says, yes, we are absolutely. She's like, that's an aha moment. So she says, yes, we must protect it. Nadia, our Canadian queen, she asks you, can using Monistat damage the scalp? Can you talk about, are there any effects of putting this on the scalp?
I don't know if there's any ingredients that are that active Uh, it'll probably change it pH wise because it's made to pH kill. Because if it was an active that was not based on pH, then it would be bad for the outer layers of the vaginal skin layers. So it's not attacking the skin per se. It is designed to kill yeast by pH.
Did you guys
So,
hear that? Can you
so
repeat that? Repeat that, mother. Come on. Repeat
okay.
it one more time.
It does. It's not the 2% or the 1.5% of the
Yeah.
nitrate is not conducive for an activity that kind of burns on the level of the skin and then it kills it and it's corrosive. It is killing the yeast by robbing it of oxygen. That's why it's called nitrate.
Hmm.
So it's changing the pH and causing and cooling it, which is the inflammation and burning. And then it is creating a surface that kills the little fungus that makes it itch, which dilates the little vessels in the vaginal wall. So it's only doing it by pH. So it's not dangerous in terms of an active that would probably damage the scalp. It's just not made for the scalp.
Wow.
And
Yeah. They like, oh, they like, oh man, wow, that was really fascinating. Now, if you guys listen to what she's saying about this monostat and how
mhm,
it's safe for the skin that's on the vagina, it's not really going to do anything to the scalp. But one thing you pointed out that was very powerful, you talked about this oxygenation process
mhm,
that irritates and causes this
mhm.
yeast to really wreak havoc downstairs. And I've had yeast infections, not cool. But you explaining why, and because I kept saying, why did they make Monistat over the counter? But listening to you explain how this works, it made very good sense to actually make this available over the counter. But let me say this. If you guys listen to the science of what she said, how this monostat works, to all of the people out there who swear up and down that it's got to be natural. So, oxygen is natural. We need it to breathe. But if you have a yeast infection, you don't need oxygen, but you need some science to help navigate that oxygenation process so that you can no longer have that yeast infection. I think that's pretty powerful because people are so anti-science. They don't like anything man-made. People want to
Well,
use something.
there's that,
They
and
want
it's
to put
not that
yogurt. They want to put yogurt on the tampon and the pad and use that instead of the
well,
monostat.
here's the thing. You know, the greatest science is nature. And so, but when you manipulate them and you can make them better and perform faster, because if you wanted to kill yeast, you would put some alkaline salt and baking soda and you would mix it with some, like our ancestors did, because yeast is milk based. It's
It's
a
what?
rot. Yeast is milk based.
What that mean?
That's what yeast is. It's milk, cheese.
I'm sorry, guys. I just had a blind moment. I didn't know that.
Okay.
I
Right.
didn't.
Right. So that's why, and it's very acidic. It's dairy. It's dairy products. That's why when they say when you have yeast, you have a discharge. That is something that is cottage cheese, milky dairy. That's what yeast is. Okay. So
So
to
why would they tell
neutralize,
people to? Why would they tell a person to put the yogurt on the pad for the yeast infection?
because you can the acidophilus in the yogurt will eat the yeast. You eat the milk product. And see, you learn this on the farm. You don't learn this from just a white school. White Europe didn't know this. That's why they ate cheese. That's why people of color don't eat cheese. Africans don't eat cheese. If they do, it's goat. So my point is that, you know, there is nothing, there is no yeast on your scalp though. You may have a different form of fungus, but it's not yeast.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You just everybody's Andrea, we're all Andrea said she's on her way to Cali. She's got her bags packed. We thank you. We thank you. We thank you so much. They said you just broke that all the way down, all the way to the Africans don't eat cheese. And you know what? I was over there. They did not eat cheese. You're absolutely right. That was wow. That was a wow. This is why we need to have we. I'm with them now. We need to get down with this Afro cosmetology. We are all ready to come and learn. We will be back next week. Okay, we will be back next week, and we're talking about sheer madness or sheer genius, and we're going to couple our last two together. Yeah, everybody's in the chat. You blew them back with the whole, yeah. They put the yeah. I'm with you guys on that one. I'm messed up right now. I can't even talk straight. But we will be back next week as we wrap up sheer madness or sheer genius. We're talking about all of these. Oh, hold on. They got one more. Always one. Okay, one more question. We got to let Cheryl get out of here. Okay. So the one more again is: does collagen help with hair growth? Because she was going to buy a $45 bottle of supplements, and she wants to know if she takes that collagen, will that make her hair grow?
Okay. Um, Collagen is skin based. Um, and let me just say this: nutrients that flow through blood vessels is not the nutrients from the food you eat. It's not vitamin B12 and it's collagen and then it's gonna get in the blood vessel and then go up the bulb and make it. That's not the nutrition that we're talking about. Hair is an ecosystem. It is the proof and evidence of homeostasis. So collagen would make your skin supple. It would make the subcutaneous layers in that particular skin fat, uh, supple, more stronger. It would make the stratium within those tissues stronger. Would make your skin appear firmer. So I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't. It doesn't have anything to do with gross cellular growth. And lack of collagen would not cause hair loss. So collagen would not make hair better. It doesn't have anything to do with that.
Okay. All right. So you can invest your $45. It's not going to hurt you, but it may not give you the results that you're looking for. But I guess your skin would absolutely probably look pretty good. Your skin will probably work really nice for your skin. Everybody's, everybody, they just open up a damn school. Everybody's ready to. Is Cheryl going to open up a school? We need a school. I don't have a school. I don't have as much
I'm coming to
education.
Cleveland. I'm coming to just let me know when I'm coming to Cleveland. We can have a
Uh,
weekend and we can get all of that slave out our mind. We're gonna be black folks with Afro. We're gonna be black folks if it's the last thing. We
the
are the
last thing you should,
great
Andrea.
physician, philosopher
Oh,
stone of this
I'm
business.
telling you, Andrea's gonna be like, "Oh my goodness, oh my yeah." Don't you should have never said that. They say yes, yes. They said Cheryl. Thank you for all your information. Okay. All right, guys. So we are going to be back. Boy, y'all love Cheryl. What about me? Come on, y'all say y'all love me too. No, I'm just kidding. I hate some of y'all got y'all in there. I'm just hating. I'm just hating on my girl over here. Okay. I'm telling you, I'm whatever sure y'all can say whatever y'all want to say. But don't you just be all up on sure whatever. You ain't hurting my feelings. But anywho, Cheryl is unapologetically brilliant, like her father. We're talking
Oh,
about
absolutely.
nature. we're talking about nature, we're talking about God, and we're talking about people. So as you can see, she is a lover of all three to be offering this information to us. So I like them. I thank you so much too, Cheryl. So next week we're going to combine the last two. These are trending things that's going to help make your hair grow. And so we're talking about sheer madness or sheer genius. These two are going to be the hot house method and the inversion method. So the hot house method is where you combine various oils onto your hair. You put a plastic cap on top with the oils, and you are going to sleep in this for an entire 72 hours. And this is the hot house method. It is inspired by growing tomatoes. Okay. So that's the science behind the hot house method. And then I think to include it would be the inversion method. So the inversion method is where you are going to get on your couch or your chair or something, and you're going to hold your head down for a certain period of time, and the blood is going to rush, and that will help nourish and promote growth. So the inversion method is to nourish and promote growth. The hot house method is another technique that's to promote growth, and it is inspired by hothouse tomatoes, and it is trending on social media, and people are swearing by this. So again, this will be the last of our series of sheer madness or sheer genius. Cheryl, you want to take us out with something wonderful that we all need right now?
Well, I will give you guys a sneak peek. I think I actually like the inversion thing, but that's for different reasons why I'm sure you guys would. But anyway,
Okay.
that's it.
All right. So Cheryl says the inversion method may be sheer genius. So come on back and join us. Can you guys please share the content? Don't forget right now, if you are in the chat, if you have not hit that like button, now is a good time to hit the like button so YouTube can go ahead on and push us up into their algorithm. So hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Also on LinkedIn as well as Facebook, hit that like button. And we appreciate you guys so much. So we will see you next week. Oh, share the content. Share the content. We will see you next.
In the services the links are in the chat.
Okay, yeah, and the service is in the chat. I will put that over to the YouTube one as well, guys. All right. So you know what we say when we always signing out, right? We're talking about a whole lot of peace, a whole lot of love, and most certainly a whole lot of hair. But check this out: if you ain't got none of this hair here, don't want none of it, can't grow it, can't stand it. Hell, you plan on cutting it off for 2022. Cheryl and I say, don't even worry about it. Just rub your beautiful bald head, bald patches. We don't care because bald head, bald patches, those are beautiful too. And so are you. Deuces. We'll be back next week. Bye.